All right.
There I am. Hello.
Let's do introductions.
All right. So we will start with panelist introductions. I guess I will go first since I am the one to blame for this. My name is Aquaman. I am well known for being the first and therefore best writer in the fandom to write a really drawn-out, long Bioshock crossover. I have also wrote the Scriptfest screenplay for last year's Evergreen Northwest, and during BronyCon, the last and final and greatest, according to most reports. I ran what was colloquially known as the BronyCon / Golden Oaks / whatever we called it bookstore, which was a mild success, I believe we could say. That was a lot of fun, and I may never do it again.
Sold out everybody's books like twice.
It was a lot of fun. It was a a really cool thing to do for the last BronyCon, and as I said, it probably will not happen again. But we did it great the first time.
Do you want to go, Gap?
Yeah, why not? I'll go. Hi, everybody. I'm GaPJaxie. Aqua mentioned that he wrote the fandom's first Bioshock crossover. I looked at what he did and then wrote the fandom's best Bioshock crossover, Siren Song. I also wrote Around the World in 81 Days, I Forgot I Was There. And I can claim that fan fiction got me a job and it got me a wife.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Powerful. Hi, everybody. I'm Monochromatic. I'm known for writing a lot of Rarity and a lot of Twilight. And specifically for my big fan fiction, The Enchanted Library. And basically Rare Twi.
Officially voted as the best ever.
Yes. At BronyCon, there was an RCL contest, and I was officially voted the best writer ever. Not just Pony, just
we remind
ever.
her of that constantly because she's mortified every time anyone brings it up.
It's true. See, now I'm embarrassed. God damn it. Okay, it's fine. Anyway.
That's why we do it. All right. So the operative premise of this panel, if any of you have ever listened to the Maximum Fun podcast Story Break, then you may be familiar with how this is going to go. But for those of you who have not, which I would hope is most of you, because really no one should listen to podcasts. So, it's the only culture white people have. We are going to create the screenplay for the next My Little Pony Friendship is Magic movie in 1 hour or less. Hasbro has given us complete free reign to do whatever we want with it, provided, of course, that we follow their weirdly arcane guidelines, which is just a certain number of things that they have to have in the movie. It's in our contract. We can't do anything else. So I will be using a random number generator to generate, based on a predetermined list, the initial plot thread for a movie, the thing that's going to get it all started and keep the plot moving. The motivation for our antagonist, who will really throw the wrench in the operation. 2 celebrity guest stars who will respectively play the deuteragonist, which is a fancy writer term for comedic sidekick, and the villain, of course, the most important character in all of this. And then finally, we will have our musical guest star. For context, there was a leak from somewhere in Sony that mentioned one of the potential musical guests for the second My Little Pony movie as DJ Khaled. This is a true story. This is literally what it actually was. He was on the list. So he's also on our list as well. We'll see if the random number generator is kind to us in that regard.
I want to emphasize for people watching, I know you can't see it, but he does in fact have a Google Doc here with random plot threads, antagonists, celebrity guest stars, and musical guest stars on it, and we'll presumably be rolling dice. Now, there is also no rule that we can't roll the same result twice. So theoretically, the ponies could have to defeat Shaquille O'Neal while being assisted by Shaquille
O'Neal. We'll see. The dice will decide. All right. So we'll kick our plot off with a story based on the premise of war with the centaurs, except not really. So, there's some kind of conflict happening there, but it's not going to be your standard World War II movie here. There's something weird going on. Of course, the ponies' efforts to stop and or propagate this war, we don't know how this is going to go yet, will be, they may be foiled by a villain who is trying to get revenge for a tragic baking accident. And of course, there may be other factors at play, but we'll cross those bridges if and really when we come to that. Along the way, they will be assisted by the timely and ever relevant advice of Aquafina, or rather the character played by her, as they try to defeat the nefarious plans of an evil character played by Terry Crews. And last but not least, well, certainly not least, they will be serenaded along the way by at least one hit single, if not hopefully more, by the musical guest artist. It was not DJ Khaled, but it was Lady Gaga, which could be interesting. Now that we've officially established who's going to be in this, I do want to say that one of the entries in my randomized list was all members of BTS, but they only speak Korean. Really disappointed that one didn't get picked, but we'll work with what we got here. So our premise is that all of a sudden, seemingly without warning, the Centaurs have declared war on Equestria. What are they declaring war over, guys?
Well, clearly, if it's their revenge for a tragic baking accident, it has to involve Pinky in some obscure way. Maybe the Cake family actually has a secret backstory that we don't know about, and now Pinky, as a true heiress, has to figure that out.
Underground turnover dealers. It is, when you're cooking turnovers, it's a cutthroat world down there.
Yeah,
and those things make it all over the place.
Yeah. All right. So I think, obviously, given we've got the compelling villain, the tragic baking accident is the origin story, we need to open with that. You have the newspaper headline that the Centaurs have declared war, and you cut to Mr. and Mrs. Cake saying that they knew this day would come.
Now, do we want to personify the villain first? Because I think that's a powerful way to start. You think about the Pokemon movie; they start out with Mewtwo's origin story. They start out with establishing. So, what kind of character is Terry Crews playing here? Because he is, in fact, the antagonist.
He is, in fact, the antagonist. Who is he? What has he done?
I think that when I look at Terry Crews and I think of the kind of characters he plays and the voice that he has, I think scientist. I think someone who is dedicated his life to studying baking and is incredibly loudly passionate about it. He just really loves it.
He loves it. It's just a passion that just like... Oh, actually, that joke wouldn't work, so never mind.
He loves it, and so does his wife, who says a lot of things in this opening scene.
This is what we need to be working with. We have Centaur Terry Crews, who is determined to create the most delicious cupcake ever forged by mortal hands. And he and his beautiful centaur wife are there in the opening shot. We've got this idyllic kitchen, green fields in the background, and then Pinkie Pie slips her head out of a portal and says that nobody's going to break her record and tips over one of the baking ingredients.
So you're slanting Pinkie Pie as the antagonist here.
Yes, but since time travel is involved, when the rest of the movie starts, Pinkie hasn't done it yet.
Now, I like this idea.
That would be really interesting.
I like this idea that Pinkie Pie is who Terry Crews' character thinks is the antagonist, but is it her really? Do we get kind of a Sunset Shimmer thing where all we see is an outline that looks real frizzy, and he just says, ever since my wife and children were tragically taken from me in a freak baking accident. And to be clear, it's My Little Pony. They didn't die. They just got covered in frosting and decided they didn't want to bake anymore.
Well,
no. After the
I don't think they should leave.
No, they shouldn't.
No, well, why don't we involve the family? It should be like
that would actually be a really funny backstory for a villain. No, that's he makes this huge dramatic point about my wife and children. I lost them forever. I'll never forget them. In the background, they're also there like. We're still here.
No, they're there. But after his wife got covered in frosting, she decided baking was stupid. And that's basically the same as her being dead.
It broke their family apart. Oh, that could be it. It broke their family apart.
And that's how, and I'm getting into third act stuff here, but at some point, he and Pinkie Pie really have a heart-to-heart here. And they both agree that baking is their passion, but what his real passion was his family. And he lost his family through this tragic baking accident. And he's had this just obsession with getting them back. And Pinkie's the one who points out to him is, the more obsessed you are with something, the harder it is to grasp. And they have this deep philosophical conversation about that. And then she smashes a pie into his face because she's really bad at emotional conversations.
Yes.
Okay,
he forces her to feel complex emotions, and she doesn't like that.
But let's start at the beginning. So we see him doing his cupcake or whatever. What was he doing?
The greatest cupcake
greatest
ever.
The greatest cupcake ever.
baked.
And then we see this portal or whatever, and then who we think is clearly Pinkie Pie goes, "Not today," or something like that. I don't know. Just like a very dramatic line. She pushes it, and then I guess something suspenseful, tragic music.
It tips over into the mix. It starts to bubble, and like light comes out and stuff, and then just frosting everywhere, and it covers the camera so we don't see what happened.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to present time.
Yeah, cut back to present time. Pinkie Pie is preparing for just the party of her life. She's had parties before. She's done this before, but this is the one to end all parties. We're covering a whole city in streamers. We're baking cupcakes and cakes and all sorts of things to just feed an entire city.
What would be the occasion? Maybe it's a celebration with the centaurs.
Let's see. I think the centaurs interrupt Twilight's
Celestia?
Right after she's been coronated, because I think we're just going to have to slant this as after season 9. So Twilight is running the show now.
Yeah, Celestia and Luna have temporarily come back from their retirement home in Asgard to see how Twilight is doing, and so everything's got to be perfect for when they come back.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
We do have a cameo from Anthony Hopkins during that scene.
Yes.
All right, with them introducing all their friends.
So they have
from
this
the
party.
Retirement home.
Everything is going really well, and Pinkie has to make the best cake ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is how we tie it all together. She's determined to make the best cupcake in all history.
And she's been working hard at it. She's like really, really been working hard at it. And then how do the centers come in?
They gallop.
See, I want to go back to Jaxie's suggestion that it's future Pinkie who does this.
Yes.
There needs to be something that drives current Pinkie towards a situation where she feels the need to go back in time.
The cupcake she makes is not perfect. Twilight agrees.
It's really good. Everyone says it's the best I've ever done. And there's just one person.
And Rarity needs to be the one to deliver that line. She has an artist.
Awkwafina. Who just, it's pretty good.
Who was
I don't know. Awkwafina could be the Centaur chef's centaur daughter, though.
Oh, that would be interesting. His daughter is trying to get them together again.
Okay.
Yeah, like his daughter would be somebody.
The daughter works with the ponies for most of the time, but at the end, her motivations are purely to get her parents back together, and she's going to do whatever she needs to do for that. Also, she's a bit of a stoner. Because it's played by Awkwafina, but it's horse stoner, so it's like, cats have catnip, horses have horsenip, salt licks. That's canon.
Salt licks are canon. Yes,
constantly got a salt lick.
Okay. So we have. Oh, sorry. You go.
So we'll into this point. We have the backstory established. Terry Crews' character, there's a tragic accident. He becomes separated from his family. We fast forward in time to Pinkie Pie under a lot of pressure to make this thing happen. Twilight's the one there trying to reassure her, it's no big deal if it's not the perfect thing. I'm so blessed to have all of you guys here. In the background, while Pinkie Pie is baking, she and Rarity are making out or whatever. You can do whatever we need to do there. But then a shadow is cast over the horizon. And it's not an airship because they're ready for those now. They've got defenses for days. Just big, giant nets. They're ready to just cut down, or not cut down, but throw the big nets over airships and bring them down to Earth. A shadow on the horizon shows this arriving horde of centaurs, armed to the teeth, and everyone but Pinkie Pie is ready to fight, and she's the one kind of quietly going, "Oh no, I knew this day would come.
My cupcake was too perfect."
Yeah, that's her angle at first, because again, we're trying to mess with the audience a little bit here because they think it was past Pinkie who did it.
Yeah.
What she's worried about right now is, I knew it. It was too good. Every culture from around the world is gonna want a piece of this cupcake, so we have to protect it.
So the way we riff on that,
actually,
not
maybe.
I
was just going to add one more thing. That is actually the premise: is Pinkie Pie does actually succeed. She makes the perfect cupcake, but it's so perfect no one can eat it. So she's like, well, and no one else in her group understands that. Rainbow Dash just wants to try taste it. No, it's too perfect. This is the one. I will never make a better cupcake. No one can possibly eat this.
I think it'll be.
That's why she thinks people are invading for it.
Go on.
No, you go. You've been trying to talk for a while.
Okay, so what if, to display at least 10% originality versus the first movie? It's not that a big horde of centaurs just show up out of nowhere. It's that a centaur is one of the guests at this enormous celebration. The centaur chef is there. He sees Pinkie Pie baking the world's most delicious cupcake, and there's that moment of recognition. It was you. And that's when the centaur horde shows up.
I want to add something.
He calls them in.
Yeah.
Though I don't know if it's like, can we skip ahead to the end of the movie? Like in something?
We can. I mean, this is literally how I write stories. I know the beginning and the end, and then I work from both directions towards the middle.
So what I'm thinking is, like, so she has her, like, this best, amazing cupcake, and we go through all the drama and whatever, and then we go to the end, and I don't know how we're going to get there, but somebody in that centaur family is going to make a cupcake. And it's going to be bad, it's not going to be great, and then Pinkie will be like, that's the best cupcake. Because it was made with love.
The centaur chef's wife.
No, the daughter should make it.
The daughter, no, yeah, she's got more characterization because she's Awkwafina and she's a stoner.
Or something like that.
I would love it if there's like an intentional genre subversion here of like all Awkwafina's character, who's Terry Crews's daughter, all her character wants to do is to be a great warrior, to be a great magical fighter, to bring pride to the Centaur Nation, and all Terry Crews' character wants to do is be the best baker possible. And they have this constant fight over it, where her dad just wants her to, come on, just come back, join the family business, be a baker, it's fine. And she's like, no, Dad, my individuality means that I need to be a great warrior. I need to...
So if her dad can summon the centaur horde, let's go ahead and make him king of the centaurs. They're a proud warrior people, but he's king. He can do what he wants, and he is determined to be a baker.
And he wants to bake. He wants to bake the perfect cupcake.
There could be this entire political thing where, like they'll have to pretend that everything is fine because they are the royal family.
Well, they're a proud warrior people. You have all the centaurs there, like they all look like T-Rex. You've got the beefy look, the square shoulders, all very intimidating and imposing. Maybe put some of them in armor. And their king is there with a crown and an apron.
That would be a fun second act thing to go into is, okay, Twilight realizes, all right, we need to do something about the centaurs coming in. I only know one centaur, but in order to talk to him, we're going to have to unfreeze all three of them. So they're going to have to bring Chrysalis and Cozy Glow. At least temporarily. And then we're also going to have to unpack the fact that they froze a 10-year-old child in stone forever. We are going to have to address that at some point in the film.
What about that other... Oh, but he was a Minotaur, so never mind.
Yeah, they're not the same. That's racist.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead and say it. All horned mammals look alike.
Okay, so if we unfreeze all three of the villains, it's going to derail the film. So let's do this. We're going to unfreeze T-Rex, only T-Rex, just for a bit. Yeah. He's going to ask Twilight, why should I help you?
Only his head.
Only his head. Yes, we'll go with that. He's going to ask Twilight, why should I help you? And Twilight's going to say, because it's the right thing to do. And T-Rex will agree to that, which is how the audience knows that something is up. T-Rex answers her questions, and then like at the end of the movie, after the credits, we can have a scene where like his stone prison starts to crack and the three of them all escape, and he goes, I can't believe that worked. Something like that.
Wait. So T-Rex is a centaur, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we add in Scorpan or something?
Because Scorpan's retired with Celestia and Luna.
Okay.
If you'd watch the head-to-head canon panel, you would know that
he's in Asgard.
Or he's in Poland, or whatever the current meme of the day is.
Okay, so let's continue.
But that I do actually like where you're going with this. If Scorpan could be involved,
like not involved, but something about Scorpan and family, because we're going for the family theme here.
Wait a minute, Scorpan. His name
implies
baking. His name implies that this is his. He had the ancient wisdom. So what Pinkie Pie realizes when she has her perfect cupcake is, she's got the perfect cupcake, but that's based on mortal knowledge. We need to go way deeper. And so the crux of the war is Terry Crews's character saying, all right, and while he's saying this, he's flexing his pectoral muscles constantly. It is very distracting, actually. And at some point, Applejack does ask him to stop, just like because she can't concentrate. But both of them agree to a bake-off for Equestria's future.
And they need to find Scorpan.
That is the war. If Terry Crews's character wins, then he gets to take over Equestria. But if Pinkie Pie wins, and Pinkie is the best baker that Equestria has, she is their champion. So both of them know that Scorpan, the real Scorpan, was the best baker ever. He was the one who kept Grogar fed. He was the one who... an actual MLP canon, this is a legitimate question. Was he with Tyrek or Scorpion?
Right.
They were brothers. They were
brothers, but Tyrek is a centaur and Scorpan is a winged lion thing. And it wouldn't be an MLP movie if we didn't totally mess up the canon in interesting ways. So here's what I propose.
Like the way you think.
Yes, the centaur royal family isn't centaurs. They're whatever the heck Scorpan is. Their teenage daughter, played by Awkwafina, is a centaur. This is never explained. And when Applejack highlights that fact, Awkwafina says she is both rude and short.
Oh, God. Okay.
That's her response. Okay, first of all, rude.
Yes. Second, you're very small and mostly insignificant.
So then the second act would be them going...
You're very small and made of meat. You know what I eat? Yeah, that's right. It's not salads all the time.
Oh, no. With Tyrek eating magic, we can make that joke on multiple occasions of her going, a creature that's made of as much magic and blood as you shouldn't be starting stuff.
Yeah, that is one of the other things that Hasbro mentioned is their budget's a little tight right now with the viral apocalypse and everything. So if we need to make this thing PG-13, we totally can.
Okay, all right. So we've got the basic structure here. It definitely needs to end in a big bake-off. We've got the king of the centaurs, who is not a centaur. He's whatever Scorpan is, determined to be a baker. So Scorpan's people are drawn as maybe more enlightened, while the centaurs are like the more aggressive, noble warrior race. So he's just there chilling. We have a few establishing shots.
So it's a mix of both of them? Like their kingdom is a mix of both of them?
Don't explain it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a Destiny thing. There's the Cabal and then there's the Scions. One of them enslaved the other, or in this case, because it's My Little Pony, really like the other's baking.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got some establishing scenes in the beginning of like Fluttershy being worried about all the centaurs that are at the party and they're armed. And Twilight says, no, look, the centaurs are a noble warrior race. That's normal for them. But their king is a very level-headed, reasonable person. So you have a few establishing...
And then we cut to Terry Crews flexing.
Yes, cut to Terry Crews flexing. And then you have a few shots of Terry Crews just interacting like normally with Rarity, of like give them some friendly banter, establish him. And then he sees Pinkie Pie and her, just as she bakes the perfect cupcake, and his own cupcake tumbles from his hands and hits the ground. He goes, "It was you."
This is a declaration of war.
Yes.
All right, so we've established that Scorpan is the sage of great knowledge.
That would be the second act, I'm guessing, right?
That's the second act, yes.
That is the second act, yes. It's both of them individually pursuing Scorpan, trying to find him.
Yes.
So I think the most important thing we need to decide, first of all, is where is Scorpan?
Wait a second. What about our musical guest star? What if the musical guest star... No, actually, that wouldn't work because it's Lady Gaga, so never mind.
Would it, though?
Wouldn't it, though?
Now, hang on. There has been a canon debate about whether Clover the Clever was male or female, and I'm going to be honest, my personal headcanon, because I think it's way better if she's female, is that the historical record was adjusted to make her male because of the fundamentally patriarchal society that Equestria once was.
So maybe Scorpan
isn't male? What if Scorpan is Lady Gaga?
Yes, and we can even have a reference to that with Twilight saying, but Tyrek said you're his brother, and Scorpan replying, Tyrek is uncomfortable getting whooped by a girl.
I like where you're going with this.
Yes, okay. So, Canterlot is conquered by centaurs. Twilight and the crew get together and say, well, there's no chance of us beating them head on. And Pinkie Pie keeps insisting it was because of her cupcake. But Twilight and Rarity say, no, that's stupid. The centaurs didn't declare war because you made too nice a cupcake.
And the
No matter
fun
how much
twist is
Pinkie
that
insists they did.
it both was and wasn't because of her cupcake.
Yeah.
Because it was future Pinkie going back to the past. Because again, as you so importantly noted, this has to break canon in some way.
It does.
Wait a second. Why? So now we have to figure out why would she do that? Like, why would she go?
Well, that's the second act fall,
right? Because
when she lets her ambition get ahead of her.
Right, because now Twilight says we need to go understand what made the centaurs go crazy. Let's go find Scorpan, and you have our dramatic journey to Centaur Lands.
No, but what I mean is like why.
All right. So
how do we tie in?
Once they meet Scorpan, Scorpan is the one who says who points at Pinkie and goes, "It was you," and she's like, "What? I would never do that. You know what? And to prove that I would never do that, I'll go back in time to stop this. I'll go back in time to stop whoever it really was." And then while she's back in time, which is the thing that Scorpan can do, because Starfall used to know him as well, so they convince him. And this is the movie, so we can upcast him a little bit to have him played by like Patrick Stewart or somebody.
You're right. And I propose a small variant. Pinkie Pie spends the whole movie thinking that's what's going to happen. She's going to go back in time somehow, and the attempt to prevent this is going to cause it. And then we get to the end of the movie, and the ending is so wonderful, and Pinkie Pie says, I don't get it. We've gotten to the end of the story, everything is great, and I never went back in time. And Scorpan says, but you must have, because this has already happened. And so the last scene in the movie is Pinkie intentionally causing the events of the movie.
Now, then she fixes everything without going back in time until the end?
But is Pinkie Pie the type of person who would believe in fate? Like, she is fated to do such a thing, and so it must be done.
Possibly not.
Maybe
this is exactly what I wanted out of this panel, by the way, is this deep philosophical discussion about would Pinkie Pie go back in time to guarantee a result that it's a good outcome?
But that's Act 3, because either way in Act 2, her reaction is the same. Scorpan says, you are the one who caused this. You are the one who caused the king and his, the terrible baking accident that forever separated the king from his family.
I think that would be emotionally devastating for her.
Yeah.
To know that she destroyed a family.
Oh, yeah, this is a movie about Pinkie Pie.
Yes. And then Scorpan points into the distance where you can see a ruined and abandoned castle and says that ever since that terrible day, the king has not been able to bear to set foot on near the site of the accident, and so the building has remained forever abandoned. Twilight suggests they go investigate to see if there's clues, and that's where they run into Aquafina.
That's when they first meet. No, or I do like that that's maybe the first time they meet them, but then before that, in Act 1, we established
we have to see
that Aquafina is Terry Crews's he's the sleeper agent. She's a sleeper agent, sort of, so she can masquerade as both, the polite diplomat and the warrior. And she's the one he sends out because she's his daughter. He trusts her more than anyone else. So he sends her out, say, I know that this Pinkie Pie will be, I know what she did to us.
So it's not an MLP movie unless every alicorn other than Twilight suddenly comes down with a case of alicorn's. So
well, no, but Celestia and Luna are already retired, so they're
so they could be off anywhere.
But at the beginning of the movie, we see Centaur warrior Aquafina talking with Shining Armor during the party about how much she respects the royal guard and about what a great noble warrior he is, and the armor is so pretty and shiny. And then when her father shouts, "You have slighted my nation for the last time," she goes, "Finally," and with an air of obvious relief, picks up Shining Armor and throws him into Cadence, bowling both of them over into
both
a wall.
Both of them sprain their ankles and they're out of commission for the whole hour.
Yes.
That's okay. And at some point, Twilight goes to check on him. He's like, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. Bruised ego mostly, but we're used to that."
Yeah. Oh, we can have a lampshade bit at the end where during the third act assault, when they're taking back Canterlot, Twilight comes across Shining and Cadence, who are just having tea with some centaurs, obviously unrestrained. And Cadence says, no, you have the situation under control. It's fine.
Look, we're taking the diplomatic approach. You're taking the magical rainbow laser approach.
Yeah,
we each have our skills.
Okay, so after they meet Grogar, what happens then? Or Scorpan, what happens then?
So do we want a major act of the film to be the crew going back in time? Because I think that could be interesting, but it could also be canon breaking, which I guess either way is really what we're going for here.
So at this point, Pinkie Pie has some insecurity related to her cupcake. Maybe because it's too perfect, maybe because it's not quite perfect, but either way, she's not feeling super about it. Allegedly, this relates to her sabotaging the world's greatest baker so that she can keep that title. So if they go back in time in a whole act of the movie, it's going to be her worrying how she causes this to happen.
I do have a suggestion, maybe.
Yeah.
So, so what we're thinking is regarding the daughter, because I'm thinking maybe the fact that their family got broken, that's what made them become more of a warrior race. So that's what's allowed her to really be what she wants to be. So fixing back
cupcake accident is what made them the warrior race. I like that.
Yeah, and it's what made the daughter. It's like, oh, she's really excited because now she gets to be what she wants to be. And if they go back in time and fix it, and then maybe the dad is like, "This is what broke our family," but she's like, "No, this is what fixed it."
The twist, I love that. It turns out Awkwafina's character is the one who wants to maintain the current state of affairs.
Yeah, oh my god, that's perfect. So that's the second act. Scorpan tells them what happened. Twilight says, that's fine, I'm an alicorn, I can change the past. We're just going to go and fix this, and Awkwafina chases them through the portal to stop them.
Awkwafina is the one who sets up Pinkie Pie.
Yes!
She's the one wearing the Pinkie Pie wig, and that's what Pinkie Pie sees when she goes back.
Yes, and it's blatantly just a centaur in a pink wig, and she explains that her dad is not
because in the opening scene, all we saw was a shadow. All we saw was a shadow that looked a lot like Pinkie Pie.
What if we tied it to maybe one point when she was a kid, she heard that Pinkie Pie in Equestria was an amazing baker, and her dad was like, "Oh, I hate that pony," and she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna imitate her, so we'll go to war with Equestria."
Yeah, no, this was all her plan from the beginning. This has been years in the making, and she has support from the centaurs who are embarrassed that, the Equestria, with all their fancy magic and their friendship, or whatever the hell that means, that they've achieved so much through that. And she wants to prove once and for all that the centaurs are not only the most proud warrior race, but they're the best. They're the ones who are, with their culture and with their approach towards friendship, as they would say in air quotes, and they can do that because they have hands, and they have to explain what that is to the horses because they don't have hands, so they can't. They don't do air quotes like that.
Yes. Okay, so they go back in time.
Yeah.
They see a young Awkwafina disguised as Pinkie Pie, being the one to ruin the experiment in the first place, and go, "Oh, that's okay. We can just fix this now." And then a teenage Awkwafina who follow them through the portal tackles Pinkie Pie out of the way before she can alter the time stream. And we get her dramatic denunciation about how she didn't want to go into the family profession of baking and hugs. She wanted to join the Army Reserve, dang it.
I want to live my life, Dad.
Yes.
That's the good twist. You love when the deuteragonist becomes the real antagonist.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Wait, and then even more, and now the king becomes the deuteragonist.
Yes.
Yeah, it flips around.
He and Pinkie bond over, both of them have the same goal. They both want to make the perfect cupcake, but what they both maybe realize at the same time is that the perfect cupcake is in the eye of the beholder. So It's not about making the perfect cupcake that appeals to everyone. It's not about making something that somehow is perfect for every person. It's about making it perfect for the person you really care about.
And
it turns out the one they really care about is the daughter.
Yes, Pinkie Pie keeps.
They have this big battle scene. This big, the army is approaching and they're taking over Camelot. And at the very end, Pinkie Pie and Terry Crews' character are working together in the background to bake what is really the perfect cupcake. And it's the one that they present to Awkwafina's character right as she enters the throne room.
Oh,
right
that's gonna be
before
so
she
good.
brings the sword down, they're the ones who present her with the perfect cupcake. And she's looking at like, it's just a cupcake. How do you think this is possibly going to fix anything? It's like, it's not supposed to fix anything. It's supposed to.
This
my God,
this is
so
how it
good.
happens. When they are back in time, Pinkie Pie sees that there's some flavoring or some reagent that young Aquafina really likes. And that is the basis of the cupcake, and it reminds her of her happy childhood.
Happy childhood, and how even though that they're different, her father still really cares for her.
Maybe they had like food fights or baking fights, and it was something she enjoyed because it got to be like her doing her fighting thing and him his cooking.
No,
so he smashes it in her face.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. So it's the perfect cupcake. It isn't even about the taste; it's about the feeling of it,
the experience. So she's like, "What is this?" And he's like,
yeah, so she rejects it eventually because, like, and Pinkie Pie's confused. She's like, "We worked so hard on this. It's made with love. It's perfect." And then Terry Crews' character is, "Wait, I know what to do." And he picks it up, throws it in her face, and then offers her another one back, and she throws it in his face.
We can even do the twist. Terry, the crew is all set up for a big fight. And Terry Crews' character says, "You can't possibly fight every centaur. I'm going to go challenge my daughter in single combat for leadership of the Centaur Nation. You're all set up for a big fight."
Gosh.
And then he throws a pie in her face and offers her another one to throw back.
That would be fantastic. That would be great. Oh.
Now, what is Lady Gaga's song about? Is Lady Gaga's original song... All right, imagine the original season 1 Pinkie Pie song about all you have to do is take a cup of flour, singing about baking cupcakes, but it's the Lady Gaga version. So it's extended. It's got a chorus. It's got all these things. Is that her song, or does she have another one at the end?
Oh, she's got to have one over the credits, no matter what. But I think the song she sings during the movie is the one that sends them back in time.
She sends it. That is the way the magic works. Is that because she can't actually go back without, like, that's like her ancient time travel magic is based on the power of song. I'm getting into my individual headcanon.
It's because she's fabulous.
That the songs are a form of ancient magic.
No, seriously. Applejack or Fluttershy should ask her why she needs to sing to send them back in time. She snaps her hoof finger things and says, "'Cause she's fabulous," and then Rarity immediately shouts, "You go, girl," and they fly in midair.
Rarity's like, "I don't care what any of you think. I love her."
Yes.
I think she's great.
God.
Yes.
Oh, that would be really funny.
Yeah. All right.
That's how she gets them back in time.
Well, how do they get back from the past?
Well, I think that's just when the spell ends, right? Like,
it's
a vision. It's not it's a visit. It's not something where they're really sent back. It's like you were stretching out the rubber band, and at some point the rubber band's going to snap and pull you
Maybe
back.
Twilight is like, well, no, you can only go back in time for like a few hours, like a few minutes, like happened to her, and then Lady Gaga's like, "Okay, but you're not me, are you?" And then
that would be a really fun, like, no, Star Swirl's love, the first law of thermodynamics or whatever that Star Swirl made up. For it states that you can't go back in time. It's like, oh, Star Swirl, he's adorable.
Yeah, but seriously,
like,
let me show you how it's done.
She's just shattered in the background. Like, but all of my knowledge is this isn't how it works. Like, the whole time they're back in the time, like, Twilight's the background crumbling. Oh, this isn't really how it's supposed to work. This is a bastardization of magic. This is like the fact that it's clearly working. It's not. It doesn't play in at all. And Rarity's in the background, kind of like, no, it's okay. It's okay. We'll move on. From this.
Well, okay, let's riff on that. Twilight says, "But you can't possibly alter the past. Every time we've used time travel, we just cause the original events to happen." And Pinkie Pie is the one who insists, no, we can make it all right. And Twilight keeps muttering the whole time, it's not going to work. And when teenage Aquafina comes out of nowhere and tackles Pinkie Pie out of the way, Twilight goes, "Ha! I was right. I mean, Pinkie Pie."
Oh, no.
But wait, then in this case, will we have Pinkie at the end go and do it just for the... Why would she go and destroy the cupcake? Oh no! Sorry, it wasn't her. It wasn't her. Okay, right. Okay, I forgot about that. Never mind.
At the same time, if they hadn't gone back in time and taken Aquafina's character with them, then it wouldn't have happened. because that's Aquafina knew this was always happening. So like, she's been building up to this for years because as a child she saw this happening. She recognized herself, her future self, and she knows that okay, I'm looking at this version of my future self. She's dressed up in warrior gear. She's clearly a warrior. She's everything I want to be. If I'm going to make this happen, then I have to put myself in a position where in the future I'm going to be set back to cause this.
So riff on that even further. The main six don't catch young Aquafina midway through the act because that would put them in the kitchen, which is a slightly weird place for them to be. They see young Aquafina with the Pinkie Pie wig about to head into her parents' house and quickly put together what happened. When teenage Aquafina comes in and fights off the main six, and then they have a flashback to young Aquafina just being inspired by seeing this young centaur warrior.
With like dramatic music.
This is
just
what
like,
made her want to be a warrior.
Yes.
So it's all just self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's just this cycle that keeps going.
Yes.
But then that would take away from the dad plot. If they had the baking. Well, the family fights.
Well, she needs to want to be a warrior beforehand, but she's hesitating. She's like, I really don't like my dad's baking, but sabotaging him seems
that
wrong.
works, yeah.
And then it's what pushes her over the edge. Particularly if teenage her grabs young her and says, you go be what you want to be and don't ever let anybody stand in your way. And she immediately
and it plays into the same thing that Twilight's muttering about comedically in the background, but it turns out she's actually right. Like we can't go back and change the past. All we can do is guarantee that the past as we know it happened.
Yeah. We can have a reference that at the end where there's you have to summarize the friendship lesson. And Twilight's summary is Twilight is always right, and we should have listened to her earlier in the story.
No. That happens, but it's first like Pinkie Pie's the one who makes the big dramatic moments. Today I learned that making the perfect cupcake isn't about pleasing everybody. It's about pleasing the people you care about the most. And it's this really poignant metaphor and really poignant just speech that she goes through. And Twilight's after like a beat goes like, today I learned that Twilight's right. Twilight's always right.
Twilight was right
knows
about
what
everything.
She's talking about weirdly enough.
You can even
she's just I think, fully sarcastic about it. Like, yeah, no, I definitely told you this is what happened, but does anyone
like
ever listen to Twilight?
The one episode with Applejack at the end where she was like, I was right all along.
Exact same energy.
Yep. So we've got at the end, we've got Twilight saying Twilight was always right because everything she said throughout the movie has been correct. Pinkie Pie delivers the Aesop literally. What I learned is that making the perfect cupcake isn't about this, this, and this. And Rarity is the one who says, dear, I think that moral could be generalized to other things in life. That maybe perfection isn't an attainable state, but more of an ideal you should be eternally striving towards.
Rainbow Dash is in the background just eating the cupcake. It's like, I learned this cupcake's really good.
No, she says, can we go on more adventures that involve bakers? Because the pastries on this adventure have been tough.
I'm a huge fan of this.
And then we would exit out with a musical number?
Yes. Well, it has to be an excuse for Scorpion to come back.
Well,
so
maybe she just comes back because I don't know.
I mean, do we really need an excuse for her to come back? She can just be
she can
there.
Just come
it's
back.
The credits.
Would she?
I mean, she can come back to see Tyrek.
Totally spitballing here. Was she cursed to only be able to stay in one place until the perfect cupcake was made? And so both Terry Crews' character and Pinkie Pie interpret that in different ways. But then once the perfect cupcake has been made, which is the one they smashed into Aquafina's face, then she is freed from her prison. She comes in, and the first thing that happens before she starts to say, like, you did it, I'm so proud of you, and then Aquafina smashes a cupcake into her face.
Wait, well, or maybe like if we're tying it with the family thing, like she left because of Tyrek, right? Mm-hmm. So when she sees this family reunited, she's like, oh, maybe I want to go give my family a second chance too. And so she comes back.
That's the post-credit. That's the post-credit scene.
Yes.
Or the mid-credit scene is her going back and freeing Tyrek, but then Chrysalis and Cozy Glow are also freed because she's not.
And then
not
we have the third
it.
movie sequel hook.
Yep, we got that. Okay. If Scorpan is cursed, not to be free until this family dispute is resolved or something to that effect, we need to have, I think Applejack lampshade that to say something like that. It seems like a remarkably specific series of conditions just so we can treat Applejack badly in the movie, because we haven't done that yet, and that is
we haven't talked a lot about Applejack or Fluttershy.
Yeah, so what do we do with them?
It's okay. That's exactly the way that the show treated them.
Wow. Wow.
It's okay. I'm not mad about that. And won't remain that way for the next several years.
No. Okay, I've got it. So twice in the movie, once during the invasion of Canterlot, once when chasing them through the portal, teenage centaur Aquafina manages to toss aside, PG combat, tosses aside Applejack. In the big fight in the palace, Applejack locks eyes with her and is clearly raring for round 3. So I'm going to punch the horseshoes right off you, you six-limbed, blah, blah, blah. And then the pie happens and they make peace and Applejack is so let down. In the post-credits sequence, she buffs her hoof and is like, I was going to whoop your flanks, And teenage Aquafina just goes, yeah, sure.
Well, that's their bonding, but where they actually become friends over that in the end. They're kind of chilling afterwards, yeah, so that all worked out really peacefully. Yeah, it sure did. And they're both kind of looking at each other and it's like, do you want to go find a place to? Yeah, let's go find a. Yeah. All this is fixed. We're good, but also we're gonna fight. We're gonna do this thing on our own, and we're gonna settle this.
What about Fluttershy?
Well,
yeah. Again, the constant question that the show writers ask: what about Fluttershy?
Okay. I have a proposal. When they say it was Pinkie Pie, and Twilight goes, well, obviously we need to go find Scorpan. Fluttershy needs to point out every alternative to that. What if we went and got Celestia and Luna? Maybe it was changelings and they got mistaken for Pinkie Pie. What if we went and got the Star Swirl or went back to Ponyville or literally any other option? And Twilight says, no, we're going with the Scorpan thing.
Yes. Fluttershy, we've tried all that before.
Yes. No, better. Fluttershy, we did that last time. We can't do it twice in a row.
We can't do it twice in a row. That's boring. That was actually another, just a fun fact. One of the options for the villain's motivation was that they're a crazy person who thinks they're in a cartoon. That would have been a fun one to have to deal with for an hour. But thankfully, we didn't have to, so I can just say it as a funny thing that may have happened.
All right. So I think we've got a basic 3-act story here. Do we want to detail it, or do we want to grab audience questions or something? Let people toss in suggestions.
For the last 10 minutes, actually, yeah, I didn't think about this in terms of an audience question thing, but that wouldn't hurt if anyone wants to throw out sequel prompts or just questions about the actual story that we have created that will be in theaters in 2022.
I also feel we should sort of read off some of the prompts we didn't roll for, because some of them are very funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can definitely do that as well. So for the initial plot thread, here's what we could have had to work with. The main 6 get thrown back or forward in time.
We did that.
That could have got. I mean,
we did it. Yeah.
Again, a lot of these did get factored into what we actually came up with. Twilight has to pick a princess partner. I was really looking forward to maybe doing that one. Just because it would have been clearly all of the main 6 are trying to be the formal partner.
All right, hold on, wait, guys.
Imagine leveling up the Ticketmaster episode by about 1,000, and that's the entire film.
So questions are coming in. I'm gonna read aloud some of the better ones. How do you defeat Lady Gaga's Scorpan? Poke her face. Judgment Day is inevitable. I'd like to see Celestia being the reasons why the centaurs go to war, because she eats the perfect cupcake in front of them. I'd like to get a touching scene where the king baked a birthday cake for his daughter every year, then forgot one year in his pursuit of perfection, so she destroyed his work.
Ooh.
This is my favorite director's cut of Avenger Endgame.
Oh my gosh.
Magical thermodynamics.
Oh yeah, we forgot that for the final fight they do bring in every other creature.
The name of Scorpan's song from Magnet Bolt: "There is no fate but what you bake."
Oh, that's amazing!
That's excellent.
Yes.
I think we should roll with that.
What other things do we have?
It turns out Twilight is actually a Rarity story written by Monochromatic, as the title of it, including written by Monochromatic as part of the title. Story written by Panic at the Disco.
Oh my god.
That was not on my list of potential musical guests. DJ Khaled was on there. Cardi B was on there. That would have been fun. Post Malone was on there.
I do want to highlight that an antagonist motivation could have been wishes they were as pretty as Rarity, which would have been a fantastic story for me.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, again,
maybe for the next
I tried to customize it to the panelists that I was fortunate enough to work with.
So the one I really wanted to roll was a 3 for antagonist motivation, wishes they were as pretty as Rarity, and for the villain, a 12, Bernie Sanders. So I could stand up and say, he wants to redistribute the cuteness. This 1% of ponies gesturing at Rarity is hoarding all of the good looks for herself.
Well, that would have been an absolute train wreck, and I would have loved to do it. I think my personal favorite, and it's only my personal favorite because I actually briefly outlined and partially wrote the story, was they want every pony to be alicorns, and they have just the virus to do it.
Oh my god.
So there was, and I have not finished it, and I probably never will, but I did have a story like half outlined and written called Epidemic with an extra C in there. So epidemic. And the idea is that alicornism is contagious, and it's like a parody of zombie movies, but everyone turns into an alicorn and they have uncontrollable magic.
So
we only have... Oh, sorry. No, you go.
I'm picturing like Twilight and crew sheltering in place and all having to wear face masks, and then somebody sneezes on Rarity and she screams and suddenly not only grows wings, but like fabulous locks. Everybody goes, oh, no.
And everyone's like, no, we have to stop this. And Rarity's like, well, hold on a second. Wait a minute.
From our question chat, I thought that was called larcenism.
That basically would have absolutely been an in-joke part of it, but making it a viral disease that it doesn't do anything harmful to them. It's just like,
there's an alicorn Rarity emoji that's in use in our question chat. I'm stealing that.
So we have like about 4 minutes left. What do we want to close off with?
The sequel.
The sequel. Well, they freed the others, right?
Yeah, well,
accidentally.
Oh yeah, so Cozy Glow is going to have to come back at some point.
Oh no, that's it. So Scorpan frees Chrysalis, Tyrek, and Cozy Glow, and immediately captures Chrysalis and Tyrek in a magical force field because Cozy Glow is a small child. And then says to them that, they've obviously made terrible mistakes, but the time has come for them to be reformed, and there's no possible way for them to escape this trap, and, they just need to accept their fate and become good guys. And Tyrek goes, I agree that you have accounted for every variable, but recent events have taught me that ponies can be terribly unpredictable. Whereupon Cozy Glow pulls out a baseball bat and smashes Scorpan's kneecaps.
Oh no.
Just out of hammer space, or was she frozen with that?
I'm gonna say hammer space, actually.
It's like, I learned something from Pinkie Pie too.
Oh wait, we're almost done.
Out.
Oh, are we done?
Oh, never mind. No, apparently we don't care if you run for another 20.
Okay, I'm going to quote this. Your panel officially ends in 5 minutes if you want to, but we don't care if you run for another 20.
That's a terrifying amount of power to give us, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, God, with the next 20 minutes, we could do basically whatever we want.
All right, other prompts here.
Let's just roll it. Let's just roll another prompt entirely. Let's see what we can do in 20 minutes.
Right,
let's do this.
This one is the season 10 premiere here.
Yes.
All right. So let's roll that. 1 and 4. All right. Yeah, well, that's boring. I'm just gonna pick them honestly because I rolled the alicorn virus one and the main 6 get thrown back in time, and we've all talked about that one. So every pony has to move to human Earth. That's a fun one. We'll bring back Megan. We'll do all these things.
Okay.
But the other problem is that the antagonist wants to see all the ponies ship with each other and will not rest until it happens, until they force this thing to happen. Now, of course, the hero that's going to help our friends out here. How in the world at a D12 am I rolling the same things I did before? Ridiculous. Now, the deuteragonist who's going to help them with this is Danny DeVito.
Okay.
Danny DeVito is going to help make sure that all of the ships don't happen. But of course, the antagonist, played by Melissa McCarthy, is going to be insatiable with this. Mm-hmm. But they may also get some help from Seth Rogen, Betty White, Leslie Jones, and or Bernie Sanders. Arnold Schwarzenegger is also on this list, and I am disappointed that he didn't get involved. We'll see what we can do. But of course, all of this...
guest star?
The musical guest star, this was a good role. The musical guest star will be all the members of BTS, but they only speak Korean.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the low-hanging fruit here. Megan, when she was a child, went through the human portal to Equestria. When she started getting a little too old, Cadence pulled a Men in Black and sent her back to the human realm, unable to prove that ponies actually exist.
So, and that's Melissa McCarthy as the villain is trying to find this portal to Equestria. She's trying to find this place where all of these romantic things are happening naturally and all these things. But it turns out she was Megan.
Yes, and as a result,
but she doesn't remember it. But she's got this obsession.
She's got this obsession, and nobody believes her, and it's slowly driven her insane. Oh, no, we rip off Fairly Odd Parents. Right before Celestia erases her memory, she writes on a little slip of paper, magical ponies are real, and tucks it into her sleeve. Celestia erases her memory, sends her back to Earth, and she spent the next 20 years obsessing over this.
That's a really dark thing. And eventually someone asked Celestia, why would you do that? It's, okay, look, it was supposed to be a practical joke. Admittedly, it got out of hand.
Wait, I do have bad news. Unfortunately, I have to go. Because there's a co-panelist next to me. And you
can't shout over them.
Yeah.
Well, we have established that I think that was the big twist. And I think the rest of the story is going to just be obvious from there.
No, the big twist is that Celestia didn't erase her memory. She told Luna to send Megan home, and Luna just assumed that's what she meant. I mean, why wouldn't you erase her memory? And the movie ends with everybody yelling at Luna, why would you do that?
Oh my gosh.
That's basically canon.
Yeah, basically canon. All right. Is that it then?
I think if Mono's going to sign off for Funkman's sake, I think we can go ahead and sign off as well. We're at 11:31, which means we made it exactly an hour and managed to create content for this entire time. I'm legitimately a little bit surprised. I thought it was
plot holds together
good
pretty
use
well.
Of our time. We'll probably do this again at future horse cons, which will definitely happen. Yeah, that's about all I got.
Okay, well, thank you everybody who attended, who came. Thank you, Aquaman and GaPJaxie, for having me.
Yes, thank you, Mono, as well, for joining us and contributing all sorts of fun canon things that will definitely be turned into a fanfic at some point.
I'll be disappointed if nothing of what we just said gets turned into a fanfic.
I will be the first to say, not it.
Not it.
Mono,
bad news. You're going to have to write this.
You know what? Okay, I will do my best attempt. I will write something set in this movie.
Yeah, you have to write it in an hour too, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I'll just live stream it. I'll live stream it. It's fine.
Yes.
Okay. Well, bye everybody. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
and
you
if anybody
attending.
from the con AV staff is listening, you should probably play us out.
We